really good people in with really great information that could really help change our lives. And so this is her first time in here, so I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and then we'll get right on into a conversation.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Felicia. I'm Janet May. I am chairman of the Montgomery County Democratic Conference. We are a political organization. We are the Montgomery County unit of the Alabama Democratic Conference, and I've been chairman of that unit since March of this year.
Oh, okay. We're getting her fresh
Fresh,
and new. Yes.
brand spanking new.
Yes, indeed.
New like a baby. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to chair the MCDC.
Okay, tell us a little bit about how that came about. You know, where was your interest at, and how you decided that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I really didn't decide that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I've been a part of grassroots politics in Montgomery since, well, let's see, 30 years?
Oh,
Since
okay.
1986. I ran for the legislature against John Buskey in 1986. John Buskey held the District 77 seat
Okay.
back right after those seats were apportioned. There was an election, and I ran for the legislature in that year, and I've been active in politics in some way or form ever since then.
That's awesome, because you know we don't see a lot of young ladies out there
I know,
in the political game, so it's good to see that.
Yeah, it was a challenge, but that's always been my interest. Politics was something, and I tell people this all the time, politics was something that was discussed at my dinner table, just like what you do in school today.
It was normal,
It was
right?
very normal.
conversation.
That was our conversation, and my dad was always the philosopher, and when we had our playmates over, he would always kind of get them in a corner and start philosophizing. We'd always say, "Oh God, Daddy got him in the corner. There he goes." And so it's going to be that way for a minute, but that has always been a part of what we've done. And in school, in high school, I was on the student council, of course, and then I went to Alabama, University of Alabama, and was in the SGA at Alabama, and then of course got out of college, and as I said, moved to Montgomery and ran for the legislature, and had a seat on the city council back in 2003. So that was really where my interest truly lies, because I believe that local government is the most important government to you.
Right.
And if you don't participate in local government, if you don't vote, and if you don't know who represents you down at City Hall or on the county commission, then they don't know you. So
Right.
you better know them, you better know what they do, and you better hold them accountable for what they do, because a lot of times we don't vote for folk, and then when they get down there, we don't question what they do. So a lot of times people are elected to office and are not really working on our behalf.
Right.
And they're not working on our behalf because, again, we don't hold them accountable.
Right, and I'm glad you said that, because we always try to stress the importance of voting, but a lot of people take that for granted and tend to think, oh well, it doesn't matter. And like you said, then you get someone down there, now you're mad because you said they're not doing anything for us. Well, okay.
Well, yeah, they're not doing anything for you because, first of all, you don't, as I said, you don't call them up and say, why didn't you do this, or why don't you do that? Because we don't know who to call. You know, we don't know who to call if our garbage is not picked up. We don't know who to call if there are weeds next door to you and devaluing your property and causing mosquitoes to bite you. You know, so what we need to do, first of all, is learn the system, because if you say that you don't care about politics, then you don't care about your day to day, because everything you do is affected by politics. The price of the bacon that you eat in the morning is affected by politics.
Right.
So you must pay attention, particularly on a local level. A lot of times when I talk to people about voting, and I'll start off asking, how many voted for president. And a lot of people in the room will raise their hand and say, I voted for the president. And then I'll say, okay, how many voted for your senator who represents you? Do you know who you voted for as your senator? And then some hands go down, and then I ask them about the congressman. More hands go down. Then I ask about the county commission.
Right.
They look around, more hands go down, and then by the time I get to the city council and the mayor, there are very few folk who are participating in the most important form of government in your life.
Right.
The Montgomery County Democratic Conference, of course, looks at all levels of government, because we advocate for civic engagement and voter participation.
Okay.
And what we want people to do is not just vote, but be engaged. Know who you're voting for, know why you're voting for those votes. Know what they do after you vote for them, and if they're not doing what needs to be done in the community, then vote them out.
Right. Right. Now, I know I do stress a lot of times that I think a lot of people may not participate because they really have no clue of what's going on. So I don't know how we can be better at getting information out to people, because if you think about it, there are some people who don't have access to a computer. That would be one thing. But then there are some who just don't get the information. So, I mean, I'm pretty active on the computer, and I have to stay on top of some things, but I still don't come across the information until at the last minute, and it's just like, okay, so that's why we use this platform here, to kind of keep people informed and let them know what's going on.
You've got to use all available forms of information to get the word out, because if you're a millennial, if you're anywhere between 18 and 35, 18 and 40, then if it's not on the net, then it's not happening.
It's not happening. Right. Or Facebook or something.
Right. It's just not happening. And for folk who are older than that, they want more of a personal kind of touch. They either want people to call them, or they want folk to knock on their door, or they want to pick up something at church so that they know what's going on. And that's why, as an organization, we're very much aware of that.
Okay.
And what we want to do is not just utilize one medium, to get the word out. Whenever I'm invited to do anything,
yes,
yes,
you were very excited, and I was excited too. Yes, because the more we understand what's going on, we'll act.
Absolutely.
Instead of react, we will be called to action.
And we've got to be more proactive in what we do, because one of the reasons the Democratic Party is where it is that we've been reacting.
Yes.
We sit back and we let people interpret or send or give our message, and we're just very inept when it comes to communicating with folk. And people think that, and I don't know where they get that from, but people think that we're elitist, and God knows we're the least elitist folk, on the face of the earth. Our platform is always the working people's platform. We don't have bunches of money like Republicans. There's nobody that compares to wealth in our communities like you've got in the Republican Party. So our platform is for, again, as I said, working people. We're talking about strong public schools, affordable health care, the ability to get a livable wage, to work and get paid enough to support your family and yourself, to be free to make choices without having the government dictate what you can and what you cannot do. We're Democrats. Our platform has always been to use government as vehicle to do good for people. As you can see, as evidenced by the Republicans and their inability to pass a health care bill, what happens with Republicans is that they're so accustomed to taking things away from people. Health care is not their purview. You know, you leave formulating health care to people who care about people. The Republicans take things away. You know, the first thing they do when they're elected, we're gonna cut taxes first. We're gonna cut taxes because we know that, you know, when we cut taxes, then we cut services, and so they take away. Our platforms look at Medicare, look at Medicaid, look at Social Security, look at those things that none of us as individuals could live without. Came about in Democratic administrations. Look at health care.
Right.
Democratic administration. And in the state of Alabama, where we are, the 6th poorest state in the nation, we can't act like we got a whole lot of money.
Right.
Because we don't, you know, and so what we have to do, we have to act and vote for people who understand what it is to be a working person. That's the difference.
Now, and when you say we have to vote for people, how do you think that, because this is a question that comes up a lot, how do you think we get more people involved in voting? I know, you know, okay, for instance, we do have a lot of people that are registered to vote, but a lot of them won't go and vote.
Right.
And then we work on trying to get new voters in as well and get them out to the polls. What is it that you think can be done that can kind of get people more active? You know, because I think like they do see, it seems like, you know, Democratic power seems a little bit, you know, we have weakened a little bit.
Oh, we weaken a lot.
So it discourages people. And so they tend to say, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to get involved because it doesn't matter. But what is it you think we could do to stir that back up?
I'm going to have to go back and talk just a little bit about what I talked about before in terms of having people know and understand who represents them. Because if you are a bit more engaged and if you have a bit more knowledge about the process, then you are much more likely to participate.
Right.
As opposed to somebody who's just going through the motion.
True.
You know, and voting just because somebody said I'm supposed to get registered and I'm supposed to vote. Well,
Right.
And then secondly, a lot of people stop voting because it doesn't do any good. Listen, no matter who I vote for, it's still the same old thing.
That's exactly what they say.
You know,
Right.
it's still the same old thing. So what we've got to do, again, as voters, we've got to hold folks accountable. It's no shame in picking up the phone and calling somebody and telling your publicly elected official that you're displeased with an action that they've taken. It's no shame in letting them know that they've been there for 8 years and there's nothing happening in my community. And once we get serious about that, then they'll get serious about us. But it is my contention that if we know just a little bit more about how this process works, then we're going to be a bit more active in electing officials who represent us and represent us well.
True. I know last week I had Mr. DeVoe on, and he was helping us to understand even who was on the ballot. Because a lot of people, because there is an election coming up August the 15th, so we were trying to get that information out so people can go and look the people up and research, so that when you're going in, you're not just closing your eyes and just blind voting for someone. But just to get, you know, everybody's name out there who is actually on the Democratic and on the Republican ballot, so people can be more aware of what's going on.
Right.
You know, so in hopes that, you know, with that, people would participate more. As you said, the more informed they are, maybe they will participate more.
And it becomes incumbent upon an organization like us also to put out that information. Now, we've got a screening, and it's open to the public, even though the public cannot vote. But the Alabama Democratic Conference is screening senatorial candidates
Okay.
on Saturday, July 29th at 10 o'clock at the ADC building, and that building is on Decatur Street. It's located at 424 South Decatur Street, and that starts at 10 o'clock. And that screening will have most of it, as far as I know, most of the folk who are running for U.S. Senate
Okay.
will be there, and the executive committee will be asking them questions, and they can, of course, they'll respond, and then at the end of the day, there will be a vote, and there will be an endorsement. So
Okay.
our state organization will endorse a candidate
A candidate from there. Okay.
from there, and once that happens, we'll certainly get the word out on who we've endorsed and why
Okay.
we've endorsed them and why we think that person is representative of the kind of person that's electable.
Okay. And that
represent
is
us in
an
the
open
US Senate.
screening though, right? You said.
That anybody can come.
Okay.
Yes, anybody can come,
That's
but
good to
you can only the executive committee, the ABC executive committee can vote for the candidate.
Okay, and so that was when I know I do see a lot of times those sample ballots that go around.
Right.
Those will be the people that that MCDC actually is endorsing.
When that time comes. Now, we
Okay.
won't be endorsing in this Senate race, because
Okay.
this Senate race is statewide, which means that senators, as you know, are elected statewide. And that's the purview of the state organization. So
Okay.
the county organization has no say-so whatsoever, has no vote in that. That is left up to the executive committee members of the state organization, and they represent counties from all over the state.
Okay. Okay. Well, that would be good. So you guys, this is an opportunity for you guys to get to see the candidates, some of the Democratic
Exactly.
candidates up close and hear what their platforms are. And that's always good because then it'll help you make your decision as to who you want to vote for. So I would hope that we would at some point be able to unify, because I hate sometimes to see us be so split, and I think that hurts us too.
It hurts us a lot.
It hurts us.
It hurts us a lot.
Because if you have maybe 3-4 runners that everybody's looking at, and then it's like we get our group out to vote and we're voting 3 different ways and we're all over the place, and then it just
Well, in this for this race, there can only be one endorsement.
okay.
So we'll come out of that meeting with one,
just one.
candidate
Okay.
endorsed, and that will be an endorsement throughout the state of Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Which means that every county will endorse that person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will maybe help to bring that on together a little bit.
I hope so too.
So I want to make sure you guys don't forget now there is an election August the 15th. So
And let me also mention anybody who right now is thinking about, well, maybe I should get registered to vote, and maybe I'll vote. The last day to register for the special election, which is on August 15th, is July 31st. And something you can just keep in mind, easy to remember, the last day to register to vote is always 15 days before the next election.
okay.
So,
Okay.
15 days before the next election. If you're not registered to vote, you have to do it at least 15 days before, or you cannot vote in the upcoming election.
Okay. So that's right. Now you got time. You still have time.
Oh,
The
yeah.
process is not a long process. Also, make sure you update your information at the Board of Registrars if you have moved. You guys want to make sure that you do that too.
That's very important.
Definitely do that. So you make sure that you're at the right polling place.
Right. Because I've seen many people, as a matter of fact, they wanted to turn me around, and but I moved maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and my driver's license didn't say the